Welcome back to my channel. My name is Zach Michael. If it's your first time here, I'm a self-mastery coach, and I have recently become a vocal channel for a spiritual collective that exists on the 8th dimension known as Atrioun. So right now, I'm going to tune into spirit and share a transmission from them to you. Welcome, this is Atrioun. We are here with you now, and we wish today to share with you a teaching on the topic of love. Love is something that is greatly misunderstood by humanity at this time, and it is our intention to share with you love from the perspective of the 8th dimension. Love is something that is seen on the 8th dimension as something, a frequency, a vibrational frequency that is the true essence of your existence. Love is something that we see as a way for humanity to know itself more fully and completely. Love is something that people most commonly see as something that can only exist between two people in a romantic relationship. However, from our perspective, love is something that is the actual foundation or fabric of existence itself. Now, how does an individual know love? How does an individual know love in this way? Love in this way is known by you when you choose to accept yourself fully and completely. Love is not a reality or a result of living in a specific way that is decided for you by another person. Love is something that you choose to feel because you choose to feel it. It is not something that is then justified or seen as something that you deserve to feel only through living in a specific way. Love is something that you choose to recognize within yourself only because you choose to recognize it. It's already there. It's simply something that you must recognize as already existing as yourself, within yourself. And this recognition can only take place if you choose it. Love is a frequency that is for you to know within yourself because you've chosen to know it within yourself. And the way in which you choose to know love within yourself is by choosing to love yourself in the moments in which it feels challenging. The moments in which it feels challenging to love yourself are those moments in which you feel lower emotions such as guilt, shame, anger, fear, pessimism, any kind of judgmental perspective that you choose to hold about yourself is a moment when you do not know what it means to love yourself. However, these lower emotions are seen as gateways or portals, openings, opportunities, which are given to you by your spirit to challenge yourself to love yourself. Love is your true reality. However, when you forget that love is your true reality, and we forget this, people forget this by choosing to focus on the lower emotional frequencies. This unhappiness, this guilt, this shame, this depression, this anger, this tightness is what the soul must experience in order to challenge itself to know love. In order to challenge itself to choose love, it must first forget what love truly is. And when it forgets through one of these lower emotions, it's given the opportunity, it's given the ability to know love in the moment that it forgets. Think of this as weightlifting. Zach likes to use the analogy of weightlifting to understand the importance of resistance. And so this is the analogy that we will give to you in this moment to more deeply understand how love is known by you. Lower emotions are seen by spirit as weights that you would pick up and lift in the gym in order to become stronger physically. You must have resistance. This is the purpose of coming into this physical earth plane, because the physical earth plane is the plane in which you are given the environment to experience resistance. You may also use the term duality to describe resistance. Resistance comes in the form of these lower emotions, these triggered states of being, where you feel dense, you feel heavy, you feel unhappy, you feel lost, confused, hopeless, and so on. And so in these moments, you are essentially feeling the weight. You are feeling the weight of the third dimension. And in these moments, it's very challenging to remember the true essence of what you are, which is love. In these moments, when you forget that your true essence is love and you think that you are these lower emotions, you are being challenged to lift that weight, to lift it so you can become stronger. If you do not lift the weight of the lower emotion by using the lower emotion to remember that you have the ability to make a new choice, and when you make a new choice, you are choosing something more consciously, such as peace, such as freedom, such as love, such as acceptance, such as understanding, such as compassion. When you make a new choice through first having the experience of the lower emotion, but you make a new choice to think or feel differently, that is you lifting the spiritual weight, becoming more spiritually resilient, and remembering that you always have the choice to choose, the freedom to choose. You always have the freedom to make a new choice. The freedom and the ability, or rather the power of making a new choice and choosing consciously to love yourself, is only known and understood fully having first made the unconscious choice to not love yourself. This is how the value of self-love is recognized within yourself, is remembered. It is remembered by first forgetting, by first noticing that you're making an unconscious choice to not love yourself, to see yourself or another person or anything in a light that diminishes value, that takes away the energy of your spirit. You first must experience the weight of that tension. And in the weight of that tension, if you remember, you have the freedom to choose and you act on that freedom. You use your free will to choose a new frequency that is more kind, that is more loving. If you use that moment, the tension of the heavy emotion, and you instead choose to let go of valuing the lower unconscious emotion and choose to value something different, that is you becoming stronger. Your spiritual muscle is becoming stronger. And every time you make the choice to become more compassionate, to become more loving, to become more forgiving, in the moments when it feels the most challenging, and that's why it's important, when you do this, when you exercise your choice in that way, it becomes easier and more natural, more effortless to make those choices, to make the choices to love yourself. And the more that you choose to love yourself, the more you know what love is. You cannot know what love is unless you choose to know love in the moment that it's challenging. That's why love has meaning. It's given meaning to you, or rather you become aware of its meaning when you have just previously forgotten its meaning. When you have just forgotten the meaning and the power of what it means to be connected to your true essence, which is love, you know that when you have first forgotten through giving attention to an unconscious creation. That pain, that sadness, that sorrow, that defeat emotion, that unconscious energy, that darkness that wells up within you in the form of an emotional trigger is there as a weight. Just as you lift a weight in the gym, it's there to challenge you. That is the purpose of being in the third plane of energy, this third dimension, as we call it. The purpose is to experience duality. The purpose is to experience resistance. Because when you have resistance and you choose to use the resistance for the purpose that resistance was given to challenge you, when you choose to use resistance in this way, you are given, or you are able to experience the fulfillment, the reward, the payoff of choosing the higher emotion. When you don't choose the higher emotion in the moment you're challenged to, you don't get to experience the fulfillment, the reward, the payoff. You only experience that one end of polarity. You only experience the density. You only experience the pain. You can only know the true value of love by first knowing what it's like to forget, to become unconscious. Once you choose, or as you choose more and more and more frequently, as you become better at using challenging, triggering moments in these ways as spiritual weights that you can pick up, that you can use to challenge yourself to make a new choice, as you continuously use life events in these ways, you will have become a master at self-love. As you master the choice for self-love, because that's really all it is a choice. It's not something that you have to work towards deserving. You're already worthy. You're already deserving. That deservedness is inborn within you. It is intrinsic to your very nature. However, you do not know this. You do not remember this unless you choose to know this, unless you choose to remember in the moments you have forgotten. And so this process of knowing love as oneself is merely a process of making new choices. As you get better at making choices to love yourself in the moments you forget, then you will master what it means to truly know love. And when you know the true meaning of love as love of oneself, love becomes your way of being. Love becomes the frequency that you emanate through your auric field, and love, therefore, is what you teach. Because what you are ultimately leads to what you teach, and what you teach is a reflection of what you are. This is the teaching on love that we would wish for you to have a greater understanding of. And we chose to give this teaching of love to you in a way that you can apply into your life in a very practical way. And that way is to notice the challenge that you experience in the form of the lower emotion, in the form of the triggered event. We wish for you to notice these challenging moments that you all experience in your life as those moments that have been gifted to you by your higher self to challenge you to make a new choice, to choose to let go of the temptation of always listening to that lower shadow ego self. It's addictive to give energy to these lower emotions. And so when you're in the midst of that lower emotion, the challenge is to choose to let go of valuing the energy, the sensation of the lower emotion, because on one level, you do find it rewarding or valuable to experience the sensation or the manifestation of the lower emotion. There's some kind of energetic payoff. And so in order to make a new choice, to choose love instead of fear, you must become aware that in that moment, you must let go of valuing the lower emotion and say, it's now time for me to value a higher emotion. That higher emotion does not need to be love immediately, as that may feel too distant, too far away in the midst of feeling the tension of the lower emotion. This is something that you must practice and become better at. It's a game that develops. It's a skill set that you develop over time. No different than anything else that you develop over time and become very, very, very good at. When you're there in the midst of that lower emotion, it's up to you to decide to let go of valuing it, so that you can remember you are the creator, so that you can remember it's up to you to choose to be empowered. Use that moment of the challenge, of the turmoil, of the trigger as a portal through which you can know the polar opposite of that lower emotion. Use that trigger as the moment when you can pause, let go, choose to let go. You're just getting better at practicing using the power of your choice. Choose to let go of valuing the lower emotion in that moment. Do as best as you can. Don't expect to master it at first. Choose to let go of valuing that lower emotion and simply choose to allow for the recognition, allow for the realization, allow for your ability to remember a higher emotion. You don't have to force the higher emotion. You simply have to let go of choosing to value the lower emotion. As you let go, like a cork that rises in the water, when you let go of placing the pressure upon it, it will rise naturally of its own accord. That's how it's designed. It's designed to rise, and your consciousness is no different in that way. It rises when you choose for it to rise by letting go of how you're holding it down. We trust that you gained what you needed to gain from today's teaching and transmission on the truth of love. We are deeply grateful for this opportunity to have shared the wisdom of Atrioun with you today, and we look forward to the next opportunity that we are given to share with you our teachings. Be well. Thank you for joining us on today's transmission. I look forward to seeing you in the next video.